Hi friends, and greetings from beautiful sunny Dubai. Today I wanted to make a video about how much I actually spend after the first months of being here. A lot of people ask me, Kai, why you moved to Dubai? It's so expensive, right? So in this video I just want to address this, talk about it, and obviously share my point of view. And honestly, it could be so different for so many people, right? Actually, for a bit of context, I used to live and study in Dubai almost 20 years ago. In 2005 I came here the first time and I was doing my studies over here. So yeah, back then Dubai was just developing, so things were cheaper. But as you know me, I'm a very analytical and organized good German, so I was tracking all my expenses. I was funnily looking at my old Excel sheets that I still have until this day of how much I spent, because back then obviously I didn't really have much money, right? I was studying. Alongside my study I was working and doing various internships to get a bit of money, and back then I was living just off 400 euros a month. So honestly I made it work, right? So obviously these days it's a little bit tricky to live off 400 euros. So that's why I thought I'm going to share my perspective. Again, having in mind that I just moved here a month ago. So right now we're still in a kind of honeymoon phase together with my wife. We're here obviously exploring different things and doing all the touristy thing that maybe you wouldn't do all the time if you live here permanently. But yeah, just to give you an idea of what to expect if you move here, what you spend on rent, on restaurants and so on. So hopefully it will be helpful for you. Now, having said that, we will stay another month over here and hopefully come back after summer. I'm just in the process of setting up my company over here. I got my 10-year visa now, so I'll make a separate video on this to kind of take you through the process of how that all works, because obviously, it would be great to have the company here, because then all my income globally will be tax-free, plus also all my investments, right? I won't have to pay any tax on that. What's not to like about that? And that's also something to factor in when, of course, we talk about the prices here. When you do pay premium, keep in mind that obviously the money that you spend maybe extra on certain things, you wouldn't pay on taxes, right? So in that way you know what you get for, right? When you pay your taxes, well, it's a different question. But actually it's funny, when you look up the most expensive cities in the world, usually you will never find Dubai, which is quite interesting, because on one hand side, you have all the glitz and glamour over here. You see the biggest cars that you can possibly see in the world and the craziest hotels you have. But they constantly rank quite low on the most expensive city. But honestly, like anything really, you can really live both sides, right? As I did myself when I was a student, you can definitely live on a very low salary, right? A lot of employers, they provide you accommodation when you start off your career, so you don't even have to pay for housing. You get food provided often by the employers and so on. So if you wanted to really save everything, you can, right? But I think the difficult part, but at the same time also the nice part about Dubai, are that there are so many temptations. There are just so many things that you can and want to spend your money on. So that makes it a little bit difficult, but in the end it comes back to self-control. What do you want out of your life? Do you want to focus on business and work and networking? You can do that. If you want to come here and just have a jolly good time and spend all your money, you can do that just as well. So it's really up to you. You have all the options. So in the end, it really is a personal preference how much or how little money you want to spend. Now, personally, I would consider myself quite frugal. So I'm really mindful on what I spend on. I don't really buy fancy clothes and so on. I'm not really into brands, but at the same time, I enjoy experiences, right? Staying in a nice hotel, going to a nice beach club, having a nice dinner once in a while. For me, it's very good. But I can't do this back to back. That's a weird thing for me, but I can't go out every single night and spend money. That for me just doesn't feel right. So if I have a big night out or do something very lavish, that's totally fine. I'm really happy to that and spend the money. But then at the same time, the next day, definitely I have to go back to working, grinding, making money. So I feel better for myself individually. So the more you kind of spend the money, at the same time, you want to make sure you earn the money accordingly. That's just something for me to keep in mind. And of course, as always, I track the things. I use for pretty much most of my expenses my Revolut card. That makes it very easy to track on how much I spend. At the same time, I get cash back on every single transaction. I'm on the Revolut Ultra plan, so I get 1.2% on every transactions. There's no FX, foreign exchange fee, on anything I spend abroad here, which is really cool. So I can spend in dirhams and automatically in that moment it converts my euros into dirhams. So just makes things so much easier. Right, so with this out of the way, let's talk about what I spent on. And obviously the biggest one will be the place to stay. And these things can get very expensive in Dubai. Now, it really depends where you want to live. The location here matters so much. I mean, right now, obviously we spent quite a lot because we are technically for short term here. We're staying for 2 months. So there we didn't really want to take a hotel because you don't have a washing machine, you don't have a kitchenette and what have you. So now currently we're staying, it's called Sonda Business Bay. It's in Business Bay, it's near downtown. So as you can see, I can literally walk to the Dubai Mall, the biggest mall. I have Burj Khalifa over here. So it's a really lovely area and I really like the vibe. But yeah, it is a little bit more expensive, obviously. Plus the fact it's a service residence, so it's not like an Airbnb. But I have a concierge downstairs, I have a gym, a pool, and all the nice amenities. So yeah, we do pay a little bit more. In total, we share the price for that, but that's around 5K per month, so definitely not cheap, you know, but at the same time we have a lot of space. It's really modern, it's fully equipped, they even come for housekeeping, cleaning and so on. So yeah, for those 2 months it was definitely worth it. Would I pay it for a whole year? Definitely not. If you move here permanently, you can really get some better options, and there are great options out there. Now obviously I made another video about my own apartments that I'm renting out, and that's in a way in a less prestigious area, so there the rent already comes down, right? And these ones I'm renting empty, unfinished, and much smaller than what we have now, for around 1,600 to 1,800 euros per month. So again, it really depends on how long you rent it for and how many checks you pay, because some people decide to pay one check, so you pay the whole rent in 1 year in advance, and then usually the rent comes down a bit. Or you can choose to pay in 4 checks, so every 3 months you pay the rent, and yeah, this way it will be slightly more expensive. And then of course the question, furnished, unfurnished, and most importantly, as I said, the location. Now if you want to live on Dubai Palm, which is arguably one of the nicest areas in Dubai, at least in my opinion, that's obviously way more expensive. You're directly by the beach and there are not so many apartments, so you obviously have to pay the premium. Now if you're okay with driving a little bit, some of our friends, they live in a really nice villa, but it is, you know, 45 minutes drive outside Dubai city center. There they're spending around 1,200 euros per month on that villa. I mean, that's amazing, right? I used to spend more on my rent in Vilnius in little apartments. Again, ask yourself, what is your budget available? And then just check around. There's some great websites out there, Property Finder, you can really find some good deals out there. But if you really look for it and you're willing to compromise on the location, you don't have to live in the city center, then honestly, you can really scoop up some good deals. Now, I know some people who live even outside of Dubai. There are other Emirates like Sharjah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah. But for me personally, I actually used to work in Ajman, so I live there, but it is quite a drive. And every time after work, you're stuck in traffic. So for me, if I want to work in Dubai, I want to live in Dubai, and for me, it's willing to pay a bit of premium to have a nice experience here and don't waste so much time commuting back and forth. Right, so the next category is restaurants. And restaurants, I spent almost 1,600 euros last month. So definitely not cheap. And that's what I said, it goes back to all the temptations that are around. Now, obviously having said that, in the beginning, whenever you're in a new place, right, you want to try the nice restaurant and so on, you eat out much more. Now, obviously, since we got some of it out of the system, we started buying more food, cooking at home, because of course it's not sustainable, right? In a normal city where you live, you're not going to eat out every single day. But definitely here are more temptations, because there are just so many great offers and places where you can spend your money and you want to spend your money. And honestly, again, in terms of the actual cost of the restaurant, I wouldn't really say that it's so expensive. If I compare it to Paris or London, honestly, they're probably more expensive in many ways. And what I like about Dubai, you actually get the service, right? Most places, people are really friendly and I really value that experience. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's super expensive. It's just the fact that you end up going out more regularly. But the price per dinner, honestly, you can find really some simple restaurants as well where we actually end up paying less than, for example, in Lithuania, where we used to live and still live. And so in that way, honestly, it's really not too bad. Ultimately, as I said, as always, you know, if you want to go to a Michelin star restaurant here, sure, you're going to spend the money, right? But there are so many cheaper options where you can save your money as well. Now, when I talk about restaurants, of course, these things also include like little cafes or coffees, right? I'm a coffee junkie a little bit, and usually I get at least 1 or 2 takeaway coffees a day. And that starts adding up. A coffee here costs 6 to 7 euros. So 2 coffees a day, that's 14 euros, let's say 15 euros. That's 450 euros a month just on coffee. So that really starts adding up. So you have to be conscious about this, that these little luxuries, you know, they might seem like small amounts, but they do add up. And yeah, that's something to be mindful of, obviously. And actually in that category, I would also factor in beach clubs, because here we really like to go to beach clubs. And we really enjoy it, especially going during the middle of the week, because now, you know, having my own business, I'm really time independent, so to say. My wife is as well. So it's actually much better, and you get way better deals if you go during the week, not on the weekend when everybody goes. You usually have to pay an entrance fee that can be, you know, I don't know, 200-300 dirhams, but you can fully redeem that. You can use to buy your food and drinks with it. So I really like that. Now, if you end up moving here permanently, we would definitely sign up to more membership and loyalty programs. There's a cool thing called Privilege, I believe, where you sign up, you pay an annual fee, and then you can use a lot of beach clubs, hotel pools, gyms, all complimentary basically. And yeah, that really works out and makes sense. We really like to go at least once or twice a week to a beach club, enjoy there, work from there also, and then go home and in the evening get the work done. So yeah, we really value, you know, being in a warm country. You want to enjoy it. You don't want to just be stuck in your own four walls at home. So yeah, we like that it works out for us. Another good thing that we started to realize that there's so many various discount cards that you can sign up to. I mean, now I have, I think, 6-7 apps on my phone for various partners, restaurants, where I get discounts or collect points. So that's really good, because a lot of people who don't know, they pay full price, But now in most places I go to, I get at least 15 to 20% discount with one or the other app. So that's a good hack as well. And yeah, definitely sign up for it. It's a little bit of a hassle in the beginning, but once you have most of them, you will definitely start saving money. Now the next category we'll talk about is actually groceries. And here I was a little bit surprised, I must say. This is definitely not cheap. The first time I remember, we went to Waitrose, and yeah, obviously Waitrose is a UK-based grocery company, and they have amazing offering. I mean, the offering and the shop itself was absolutely incredible. We were both standing there like, wow, the fruit and veg section, the products that they have is unbelievable. I mean, probably one of the nicest supermarkets I've ever seen. And yeah, we really loved it until we went to the checkout point. And I mean, we really didn't buy much. I think it was 3-4 bags in the end. It was like 250 euros. So that's very expensive. And honestly, I would only go there if I really need something particular. Otherwise, we started now going to Carrefour, and that's a bit cheaper. It's still overall expensive. So obviously last month I spent 1,000 euros on groceries alone. When we go to Carrefour, I spent around 150 euros per shopping, and that would last us, I don't know, maybe 4 days for 2 people. So yeah, definitely on the more expensive side. Again, I started collecting points there and so on, but yeah, food is definitely not cheap, especially if you want to buy good food, right? I mean, we would like to buy some organic eggs and some proper meat. You probably, once again, could save on these things if you buy simpler stuff, but that's something I don't want to really compromise. I mean, obviously I earn money to, treat myself, I invest into my health, so I don't want to compromise on the quality of food that I put into my body, my wife's body. So I think that's really something we value and don't mind spending money on. Then the next category is shopping, which is 317 euros for me last month. And honestly, I don't really shop much, right? I'm not a big shopper, to be honest. As I said, I like to spend on other things like experience and so on. But for clothes, I'm really a simple guy. I like to wear black or white shirts, really don't mind having fancy stuff. I used to wear all the latest suits and so on. But, honestly, I don't really value these things anymore. If somebody wants to judge me on my clothes, I mean, for me, that's not somebody I want to impress. It really doesn't mean anything to me. So for me, that's usually a low expense. And yeah, I don't think it's going to go up. Once in a while, I might invest into something, but usually clothes is not a big expense for me. And honestly, here it's probably anyways not a good place for shopping. For example, one of my favorite brands that I usually wear is like Massimo Dutti. It's good quality, good value for money. But for example, if you go shopping in Barcelona in Spain, which I love shopping there because it's so much cheaper, honestly, here it can be twice if not 3 times more expensive. So I wanted to buy a jacket, for example, from there, but yeah, 3 times more expensive. I just can't justify it. So that's why I won't be doing much shopping here. We will be in a few weeks in Spain anyways, so probably I will buy a few more things over there then. Then we have a couple of other ones. Transportation, 300 euros, because actually, to be honest, it's not that much. The petrol over here is super cheap. That's something that's really nice and cheap. I mean, that's why you understand they're driving so many big cars, because petrol, I think, is costing now 60 cents per liter. I mean, that's just unbelievable, right? So yeah, you wouldn't drive such big cars in Europe where the price is over 2 euros. But here it really makes sense. It's amazing. So that's one of the very cheap things for sure where you save money on. The rest, honestly, I mean, a bit of taxi. Taxis are also quite cheap. If I compare the taxis to London, Paris, I mean, it's really quite cheap, to be honest. But then again, it's long distances where you go. If you go from one side to the city to the other, it can still add up. If you take taxis all the time, it will be quite expensive. We are renting a car, so car rental is another thing. It's obviously up to you. If you move here, you might want to buy a car. I'm never a big fan of buying cars. We're now renting the car and we pay around 1,000 euros for 2 months, so that comes out to around 500 euros a month, which honestly is not a bad deal. We're not driving a Bentley or anything fancy. It's a nice SUV, gets the job done, and for 500 euros a month, really can't complain about that. Then just checking a couple of other things. Their services, yes, phone. Phone is actually also surprisingly expensive, to be honest. I mean, yes, we are spoiled in Lithuania, where I have my other phone number registered. That's probably one of the lowest phone bill you will ever pay, together with the fastest and best internet service. I have 5G unlimited anywhere in Lithuania for 20 euros a month. I mean, that's amazing. So here now I signed up for my phone deal, and that's a 12-month contract. That's with unlimited 4G, a 12-month contract, and I have to pay 85 euros a month. So yeah, definitely on the expensive side. So yeah, what can I do? It is what it is. I have to pay for it because obviously I need a phone. Here everything runs on WhatsApp, the whole country. Wherever you go, the first thing is, can I have your WhatsApp? You can also WhatsApp with your bank, so it's really quite cool. And yeah, you definitely need a local number if you want to stay here. I mean, guys, by the way, look at this. Here we are at the beautiful Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. Absolutely mind-boggling. Every time I see it, wow, it's just incredible. Very, very impressive building. I've recently been up there visiting my friend, whom, by the way, I'll make a video with him very soon. He's a really successful real estate agent from Germany who moved here a few years ago, and yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, definitely incredible building. And in general, the vibe is just so nice, And that's why, when you add up all the money I spent, obviously, it's quite expensive, but at the same time, I meet so many inspiring people. I really feel like I want to level up, and I like that there's no jealousy over here, All the people we met, everybody is so open, inspiring, openly sharing, even how much they spend, what they earn. And I really love that. It's in Europe, sometimes we're so shy to talk about these things. And, here it's very open, I spent this much on that, a nanny cost me that. That's how much I spent on my rent. It's very natural for people to share these things rather than keep it to yourself and, feeling awkward around this topic. And for me, that's really liberating to see, and I really enjoy that. And that's obviously what my channel is all about, to be more transparent and open up about the topic of money. So yeah, that's right up my alley. Yes, it is obviously a lot of money that I spent last month, but once again, I see that as an investment, right? Investment into my future, into broadening my network and settling in a place that is really inspiring. I want to level up, right? When I look at the people we're meeting here, I'm looking like, wow, that's incredible, inspiring. I want to get to their level. And you're not going to save yourself to becoming a multi-millionaire. Now, clearly, obviously, I'm not going to spend every month that amount. Once we move here permanently, our rental will definitely be less, right? We're not going to eat out every single night anymore. So things will come down, but often we're so focused on how to save money rather than how to increase our earning potential, having multiple income streams and so on. And that's what I'm all about. And being here, being surrounded by those people and speaking with them and learning new things, I really believe, and I can see that already happening, that my earning potential and income potential will also grow, and therefore, your spending will be more relative, right? If you earn 5,000 euros, but you spend 6,000 euros, that's not smart. But if you make 30K, but you spend 5K, well, that's quite reasonable, right? But ultimately, in the end, as I always say, don't benchmark yourself on me or anyone else. See how much you can afford. Because too many people in Dubai, they make very good income, very good salary, but in the end, they live to impress others. They go out every weekend on a lavish brunch, which can cost 250 euros a brunch per person, and then spend all their money. So even if you make 6 figures here, you could literally live paycheck to paycheck. I knew a lot of people when I was living here that literally lived paycheck to paycheck, earning extremely good money. So you don't want to be in that situation. So naturally, my goal is to increase my earnings over time while making sure my expenses stay in relation to the increased earnings, because it doesn't matter how much you earn if in the end you spend more than that. That doesn't make sense, right? So I always try to aim for a saving rate of 50 to 60% at least, because that way I make sure that I have enough money to invest into growing my net worth in the future, into various investments such as my dividend stocks, crypto, my real estate. So that's very important, because if you spend it all, it might be nice for the moment, you enjoy the life, you look all nice and cool on Instagram, but that's not really what I'm living for. I'm here to build long-term wealth, but at the same time I also want to enjoy life, because other people I know, they save everything so fixated on saving that in the end, basically they forgot to live, right? And they make good money, but they don't enjoy living at all. They sit at home, eat noodle soup all day, and honestly, maybe that's not really a life that appeals to me either. So I think it's somewhere in between. You have to find your own truth, what works for you, but definitely anything is possible in this beautiful world. It's all in your head. It's a story you tell yourself. And if you think 1,000 euros is a lot, it may be a lot. If you think 10,000 euros is not a lot, well, it won't be. It's ultimately up to you what you want, how much you want it, and how bad you want it. I hope this video gave you a better insight of what you can expect when you come here, how much you'll be spending. I will probably do a future update video once we move here permanently to see more realistic monthly expense, but still, I hope it gave you a better indication. If you still have any questions, pop them down in the comments below. I'll get back to every single one of you. Next up, check out this video here. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!